If you want to use a twin needle or a double needle, you can pick these up at any sewing machine store. But let me show you how you thread for using these needles. So first off, you can use them decoratively. That's the way I like to use them. But they're great for like pin tucks. That's how you get the double row of stitching, and then it kind of pinches the fabric. But you can also use two needles to create like the hem that you see on t-shirts, and that would give you those parallel stitching. Now, because you're just using one thread in your bobbin, you're going to get a little zigzag on the back side, and that's what will make it stretchy. So they do come in different sizes. You'll see like this one says 2.0. So those needles are 2 millimeters wide, not very wide. This one has 3.0, so they're a little bit wider. You can go as high as, let's see, on this machine, you can go as high as a 6 millimeter double needle because the width is that wide. Now, before you can't do all stitches with these needles. So you do want to actually narrow down your stitch width if you're doing a decorative stitch, and then always test that the swing of the needle doesn't go off the edge of the foot and break. So let's just go ahead, let's do a 3.0 double needle, and I'll show you the little formula for doing the decorative stitches as you are setting this up. So I am going to just leave the thread I have in the machine right now just in there, and I'm going to just add the thread, the second spool to it. A double needle will go in just like a regular needle. Just make sure you get it all the way as high as it's supposed to go, and then give it a nice little twist and turn, maybe a slight, not a lot, but just a little tighten with the screwdriver. Remember, you don't want to do this too tight. If you keep going, you can actually kind of push it, well, break the screw. So let's not do that part of it. Okay, so for our second spool of thread, I'm going to just use, let's just use some fun pink here. We're going to put the vertical spool pin on and then thread from here. You're going to follow the exact same path as you did when you thread the first thread. And down the bottom though, when you get to the needle, you'll just go ahead and pick one thread to go through one needle and the other thread through the other one. It's not that hard, and it does not matter who is who. So just because I have them here doesn't mean that they might not flip around on the bottom side. So yes, I have one that's variegated and then one that is solid. So we could have some fun with this. You could do the same color in each needle. And once we get it tested here that I've threaded it correctly, then we'll start experimenting with some of the options that you can do with a twin needle. So I say twin needle, and sometimes I say double needle, and you really can call it any way you want. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a straight stitch center needle position. I might even hand turn the first couple stitches. You can definitely see if things are going well or not going well before you actually just kind of put the pedal to the metal there. I usually sew a little bit slower as I get started, just to see if things are going well. You also notice I hand threaded these needles, and that's because the needle threader, well, it lines up in the middle, not to the side. So you will need to hand thread your needles. So let's just take a peek here and see what we have so far. And since I didn't do a lot of stitching, I only have a little variation from the variegated thread, a little pink to purple with the solid color going beside it. So let's say we want to do a little zigzag. So we put in a double needle that is 3.0. For example, we need to make sure that our width is no wider than the maximum width, which is 6, minus the size of double needle, which is 3, which will bring us down to a width of 3. So I can just set that there. Now if I had a 2.0 double needle, I could go 6 minus 2 and come down just maybe a hair less than 4 and be safe with most stitch widths on the machine. So what I'm going to do is just I'll make it down to 3, hair less. And then I'm going to just make sure that the swing of the needle, once I pick a zigzag, does not extend past my foot. And by safely turning that, then I can see that I can get the stitch that I'm looking for. Oh, how fun. All right, so see what I'm getting there. 2 rows of stitches side by side. Once again, you can see what that's going to look like. Now you can really see the color coming into play with the variegated thread. So there's a lot of stitches you can have some fun with, but just make sure you test everything before you go stitching. I'm going to hand turn this one. This one's one of my favorites. Let's see how this one's going to turn out. Make sure it has a couple different stitches, left, right, back, and forth. So that's why I'm turning it a few extra times here. Yep. just to make sure that we're all looking good. And this is the honeycomb stitch, the blue one. That's why I turned it to the S1 to get to the blue stitches. Kept my width within my range for the double needle I have on. And look, a whole new decorative stitch. So we could take the stitches that we have built into the machine, put in a double needle and re-stitch them. Now keep in mind, just because this is a 3.0 size double needle, the 2.0 will give you a different looking stitch and vice versa going up or down. So there are all different sizes of stitches. Just remember to do the subtraction problem. Your maximum width of 6 minus the size of the double needle will keep you from breaking your double needle, and just have some fun. So decorative stitches, not just the basic ones, we're going to double them up with a double needle.